Let's go. There ain't nothing you can tell us. We in the club with the fellas, politicking with the vibe crew. We're a vibe, you can't kill us. You can't kill us. All for entertainment only, so don't try to keep receipts. Just sit back, watch and listen from wherever. Grab your seats, grab your seats. Unacceptable. Just grab your seats, grab your seats. Unacceptable behavior. The fellas, they walk in excellence. Yeah, they intelligent, and they also find into what their minds and convo is evident. Unacceptable. Unacceptable behavior. In the cut. Them kept a minute of truth. They standing for something, they falling for nothing. Yeah, that a man with salute. Yeah, that a man with salute. Unacceptable behavior. Now for the vibe queens, the ladies of beauty, and it ain't no small thing. Our sisters, they hold us down, they do all things. Yeah, they're the black queens. It's the network. It's the network. It's the network. Unacceptable behavior.
What's up, my blessed people? It's your boy B Money, and we are back. Nah, that one didn't work. I was gonna try something new, see how it all shake up, but now we're gonna keep it the same. Hey, what's up, my blessed people? How y'all doing? Of course, I'm blessed. I hope you are. And as y'all can see, we're gonna jump right into it. Y'all already see I'm sitting next to one of the members of the fellas, Juicer.
What
you do, boy?
What's popping, bro?
Hey, man. Hey, y'all get used to this. Surprise. But hey, we ain't here long. Y'all know we got our boy B Bond.
I don't know if I could get used to it. I don't know.
You gotta get used to it. This is in the making. It's coming to you real soon. A lot sooner than what you think. It won't be cameos. It will actually probably be a lifestyle. But B Bond, man, how you living over there, bro?
I'm blessed. I'm highly favored. Recording another episode with you fellas before the Vibe Queens have recorded another one. All I'm saying is, I'm saying that to say, they got mad at me for throwing a little shot at them in the last episode. We up 2-0. If this is a 7-game series, we done took home court advantage. That's all I'm saying. Hey, what up?
Hey, man, just real quick before we go, I ain't even gonna really ask you how you doing, Ju. I'm gonna ask y'all a real quick question, just so we can kind of start seeing, so people can see more of the fellas' personality. Hey, D-Bond, DC versus Marvel. Which one you picking?
DC all day.
DC all day?
Superman.
Okay.
Who's your Marvel messing with that?
Okay. Hey, Ju. Eddie Kane versus David Ruffin.
Man, David Ruffin.
Oh.
Yeah. Nah, I'm just playing. Nah, it's Eddie Kane.
Is Eddie Kane?
It's Eddie Kane.
What? You answered that wrong, bro.
I know. Look,
David Ruffin?
Yeah, the Temps ain't none without David Ruffin. Ain't nobody coming to see Otis. But look, the Temps are still around. We ain't heard nothing about the 5 Heartbeats since then. So I'm saying Eddie Kane.
All right, yeah. Hey, so hey, man, I just wanted y'all to see his personality, thought process. Yeah, we might hit the show on, this or that, which one did it, who did it better. But hey, before we get into our show today, y'all know what time it is. It's that time for What Would You Do? So, bro, we got some good feedback from the last one you did on double standards, but they want you to go a little bit deeper into it or attack a very specific angle of it.
Let's go deep.
All right. So let's go deep in 69 seconds, right?
I was about to start singing. Who used to sing that song? Somebody sang that song.
I can't remember who sang that, but I know Blackstreet.
It was Jay Holiday. Same dude that said put you to bed. He said he want to go deeper.
Yeah. Hey, so within the double standards, the double standards for, I'm going to call it couple curfew. What is a double standard or acceptable for a couple coming in late at night, guys' night, girls' night, couple curfew? That's enough?
Yeah, that's enough.
All right, man. Here, let me set them up. Let me get my timer ready. Sorry, y'all ain't prepared.
What's the standard?
Prior planning
this
for performance.
4, 3, 2.
All right, so couple curfew. I think it's the same whether you dating, married, engaged. Honestly, I think it's the same. It's all about setting that standard. whatever the standard is, it needs to be the same on both ends. Because you see that a lot in relationships. You know, girls' night looks a little bit different than guys' night sometimes. You know, girls could just be out, you know, chatty catty, you know, for like hours on end, where the dudes might be at the club. So sometimes there's that double standard of like, oh, why was you out to like 2 o'clock in the morning? Like, you was out 2 o'clock in the morning, but I was just with my girls. Like, we were just getting our nails done and you know, sitting around the crib. You was at the club popping bottles. I'm like, 2 o'clock in the morning, still 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, honestly, for me, if you're talking about on like a regular standard, I'm thinking probably like 1 o'clock.
Huh?
Yeah, I'm thinking 1 o'clock on a regular standard for like the going out type piece, just hanging out wherever it's at. If you're talking about like special occasions, you're gonna have special occasions where it's like you seeing the sun come up.
Yeah.
Like if you hanging with your crew that you don't see all the time, I really don't think there should be a curfew on that situation. But like that regular life stuff around 1 o'clock, or at least you giving somebody an update. But either way, it should be the same, and it doesn't matter what it is. Out is out.
Hey, Jay Will went a little long today. He is at 1 minute and 11 seconds. But you know what I'm saying? Hey, you told people what they need to do.
And I'm gonna call cap, just like the last episode. You said 1 a.m. 1 a.m. What nail salon is open at 2 a.m. that girl is sitting around getting their nails done, Jew?
No, but they can be. That's a metaphor for them just hanging and chilling.
Man, look,
Like
I understand when I come in. If I tell you I'm going out, I'm going out. I don't go out all that often. We're gonna go out. We're gonna kick it. If I get, as long as I get home, as long as I'm in your bed. How about that? And not somebody else's.
But you know, that's the piece too, because you know, like if we go to a restaurant, like we're not about to be in a restaurant for 4 or 5 hours in no scenario. But females can have that
They can
on the regular, where they're there for 4 or 5 hours. You get to say a restaurant that closes at like midnight, let's say. They're gonna probably be there, probably not 1 o'clock, but they're gonna be there a long time. But then say we go to a club, then it's gonna be like, damn, you was at that club to about like, you know, it's after midnight. And I'm like, yeah, we're just gonna be posted up at, you know, Hooters, you know, or Capitol Grill for 3-4 hours. You know, it's time we might as well go out.
Hey, here's what I would say about it. As y'all can see, there's a little debate on it, so that means there's a gray area. Brings us right into the show today, the gray area. We know in most relationships, not even just romantic, but all types of relationships, there's the black, there's the white, and then there's that gray area. And it's not just in relationships, it's just how we conduct ourselves in everyday life. You know, some things is okay in one area, it's not in another. So for this, that's what the fellas going to talk on today. We're going to talk on the gray area on 4 specific areas, and we may drop a fifth. We'll see how we feeling once we get there. Hey, but we're going to start off with the first one. Flashy versus flexing.
Can I take that one?
Give me the black and white and the gray. What's up with it, B?
All right, so check this out. 3 distinguished gentlemen are on this podcast. The 4th when he joins us. You know what I mean? And what I would say to that is we could come off very flexy. But what you don't understand is, because we are all blessed, it ain't us really flexing. It's just how you perceiving it. You know what I'm saying? So I would say, now I'm gonna just speak on myself. I have a very flashy personality. I like finding things in life. You know what I mean? You get what you pay for. I don't go cheap on many things in my life. I mean, from the hair, you know what I'm saying, the jewelry, you know what I'm saying? Even my shades be a little, you know what I mean? I'm just saying. So what you just saw me put on is some Versace's. Versace. Some would say,
like I'm Illuminati.
Yeah, some people would say that's flashy, you know what I mean? And I'm flexing because I got Versace sunglasses where you might have on Target. All I'm gonna say is, if you got it, you got it. Those who know. You know what I mean? When I step out with my guys, I know they're gonna bring their A game. So that means I gotta bring my A game. You know what I mean? Low tide rises all ships, right? Or is it high tide rises all ships? It's a Navy thing. I don't know that. Air Force. But what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, flashy versus flexing, you could have a flashy personality. That doesn't necessarily mean that you flexing. So the black in this area is be confident in who you are, walk in with some swagger. The white area would be if you go over the top with it. Like if you are going out of your way to come off as flashy or whatever the case may be, then yeah, you kind of flexing. You know what I mean? That's not good. And then the gray would be where I would say is you just don't know if you cool or not. So you just trying some stuff out. You just trying to figure it out. Some people don't know who they are, man. You would be in the gray, you trying some things out, and your boys, we have to tell you, hey man, you took that a little too far. That ain't you. That's not who you are. But I'm just saying, I'm flat.
I can see the gray. I can see the gray area that way, and I can also see the gray area in like you said, the lifestyle you live may look flashy, but there's gonna be some times where we gonna flex. It is what it is. If we popping bottles in Vegas, that's 100% flexing. And then but I think that's where that's. I think so. Like, I mean, you're not in like thousands of dollars of booths, and like right there in VIP. Just being flashy. That legitimately is like a mixture of like, and that's why I think that's what the gray area is, because that's like your lifestyle.
That's what.
But you're also still flexing on people at the same time. Because other side, I mean, that's the reason you get a booth on the floor. You don't get a booth at the top, because you do have those people that always are in booths, but they at the booth in the top and the back where they just off in the cut. You get on the floor because you flexing a little.
Everybody can see you.
Yeah.
I feel you.
I think that's why I say that's the gray area.
I feel you. I don't know. You brought up a real good one because okay. So there's an element to this that you both dropped the black and white, but then there's a capping piece to it, and I think the capping takes it into because another word for flex in our synonym would be like showing off, in my opinion. So with that being said, if you ain't in the booth, like when we go to Vegas, the fellas, we always in the booth on the floor next to the DJ booth. The last at least 2 times I've been. So for me, that's a lifestyle. Wherever we go back or what we're gonna do, that's what we're gonna, that's how
we did it. You can't say just Vegas, because when we did it in DC, guess what? We was in the booth next to
DJ. That's what I'm saying. So I mean, that's what we did. So like, hey, that's three times there whenever we get around each other, we in the party scene. But here's the other part about it is there's some cats who y'all know since we've been in the booth, those people that can walk into the booth that we be like, all right, whatever, let them walk in. Yeah. And now if they in there taking pictures and like we in the booth, I feel like that's flexing, because I feel like it's an element to it that's capping, that's flexing, is situational, but that's not being flashy. I think us going there because that's our lifestyle. I think that's just cats love that flashy. I mean, you make a good point, but I don't know. That's the gray area.
Exactly.
Well, let's take it back to before who we are now, right? So let's go back 15 years. We go back 15 years where we would go to the clubs. We necessarily wouldn't have a booth, but we would still command the attention as if we did.
Yeah. But that's the piece too, because also 15 years ago, we was probably primarily at college parties. And even if we was at the club, it was still like a college vibe in there. And being, men of the, Sons of Diggs and Crimson and Cream, you commanded that attention too. And you could probably just be at the party, but like soon as you hop in that stroll line at a club, you low key flexing. I was like, we low key flexing on people. So, but that's just who we are. It's our lifestyle, so that it stays in that gray area. It's like I'm gonna do what I can do, and if it comes off a little showboaty, that's just probably a little bit of that lifestyle.
And that's the thing, I think. And this isn't part of what we're talking about today, but as much as people want to talk about flashing and being flexy or capping, whatever the case may be, women are attracted to that at the end of the day. They might talk trash about it, like, you so full of yourself, but it's like, but you in my booth though, drinking my liquor though, that's true. Taking pictures with your girls on my couch though, because I paid for this couch.
But then is that just females using? Because you think about it, at the end of the day, they'll easily walk right up out that booth.
Yeah, I wouldn't always
keep it moving.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, well, if you say they walk up out of the booth, because I think it's like nobody goes to the club and really wants to stand in the crowd and not be able to move.
And
like
have everybody sneezing and breathing on you and can't.
Yeah, everybody wants that convenience. So but granted, you also might want to keep it moving because you also didn't come to the club just to sit down the whole time. I mean, and the only reason I say it like that and just kind of keep it like, like as simple, because there's so many different elements to that.
We can go down a rabbit hole on that. And I was about to.
I was just gonna say, like, we went to Vegas like it wasn't the height of COVID, but COVID was still out, right? And so, I mean, we all had to take that COVID test couple years ago before we got back on the plane.
Yeah.
But I would say that we weren't in the COVID area because we had a booth, DJ booth. And so, amongst you commoners, you know,
they had special HEPA filters like right there.
Yeah. We was breathing clean air. We weren't breathing the same air that everybody was breathing, yo.
But I guess that's say for me, I think flashy can be a lifestyle and just the way you are. But I think whenever you start capping about it, that's when you trying to show off, flex, and or additionally, even if you have a flashy lifestyle, that's sometimes it can be situational. So, hey, you know, you walk in on the, I walk in on one of my cousins. I walk in on my brother, and like my brother, he just got these pair of shoes, and I'm like, all right, you got these, and then I walk in with a pair that, you know, everybody look at a little bit like, dang, you know, he got these, but B Money got on these Gucci's. You know, I feel like that's a little flexing, showing off. You know what I'm saying? Even though I may have it, I know 100%. I show up. You show up to somebody's wedding and outdress the bride, or outdress the groom. You flexing. You know what I'm saying?
I don't believe in that because I've done that before, and that's not intentional. You know what I mean? I'm just that dude. I know how to put a suit together.
But putting a suit together versus wearing, okay.
Yeah, you
and Soul Food, when old dude walked up and he dropped like the Big Money and Bird stuff,
yeah,
he was flexing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because he was trying to crack.
But he's still flexing.
Yeah.
Yep, because he could have just showed up fly.
He could just showed up,
just still made that impact.
Or put it on the table.
I can't show up to a wedding in a Gucci suit if the groom wearing a tux from
Men's Warehouse.
That's not my fault.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's probably at that point in time, which of course, once again, so many different layers of it. It's kind of like when you go put the Gucci spiked, like shoes on, like.
or when you walk up and the whole time you just keep going around the room and making sure you're taking pictures with them, and then like, hey, had to bless his wedding.
I can't wear red bottoms because the groom ain't wearing red bottoms. You get what I'm saying?
You can wear it, but I'm saying those cats.
But you can't be like walking by. Like,
yeah, you can't be go take a picture with the groom and then have your shoe up like that. Like. What up? Like, man, we stumbling on him this year knowing that his bottom of his shoes ain't red.
Yeah. I got you. Okay. I'm gonna be mindful of that.
Here's why we'll give you though. There is a level of flashy versus flexing that spills over into our second.
Before, sorry, I know you about to transition. I just want to say one last little note on that.
Go ahead.
Flashy might be a lifestyle where I think flexing is more of like a mindset. It's like an action. It's more like that verb of like what you're doing in the moment. Because we can be flashy all the time, but there's a reason why we go to like flexing mode. And the people that's bank accounts probably don't reflect either one of those scenarios. That's when you get into your capping piece.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. We make a gray area black and white there for y'all. And that's what the fellas do. But with that being said, there is that level of flashy versus flexing that spills over into some people could be being flashy and being confident, but some people may take it as arrogance, which leads us to our second topic, which is confidence versus arrogance, or when does confidence become arrogance?
Yeah, man. So I think there's so many different elements of this. And, when you are, going, back to, Ship's earlier part of like, hey, me being flashy is just who I am. And it's like you've built up that level of confidence to be able to do things that the average human being cannot do. And they could do it. They just don't feel comfortable doing it.
You're saying non-alpha males.
Non-alpha males, but then
alpha male.
Exactly. And then even like putting into like the female realm, it's the same thing. There's like certain things that I'm going to do because I'm confident. I can go put on a certain outfit, even if it's not the trendiest thing, because I'm confident in how my skin is going to feel in that clothing and how I'm going to look with it, regardless of what anybody says. Some people may say that as like, oh, you being arrogant because you can just go do those things. Like, no, that's just me being confident in who I am. And then, because the same thing, you can say a lot of women, most people, and this also kind of goes into like that whole flexing, people may hate, like on the Kim K or some female that wears a certain type of bathing suit at the beach. But or say like Lizzo, yeah, she shouldn't have all that on.
I
Honestly, like, hey, she's confident in who she is. Like, some of it may be a little insecurities, but I think like she's confident in who she is. Would you go wear that same outfit? Like, nah, because I don't need to be doing all that. Like, I mean, is it really doing all that? Or is it just you're not confident or you have insecurities as to why you wouldn't do that in that moment?
I hate that you took it there.
And that's why I said there's like so many different elements on it, but like pulling it back to like the arrogance piece, I think there's an element which is where it brings us to the gray area. Arrogance is people. Sometimes you can look at people as if you are better than them, or that you are just a notch above where you're really at. But I also don't want to go down that path, but I'll say that you're better than people in that certain situation. Bringing it back to that gray area piece is there's some moments where you need to be arrogant. People need to know that you are that person in a certain situation. I liken that mainly to the sports realm. You cannot be the best in anything without having some level of arrogance. I cannot go into my work every single time and be the pillar of the organization without having a level of arrogance. And, that goes kind of in that synonym of like the conceited piece, but you can be arrogant and not be conceited. And so arrogant isn't always a bad word, but I think you need to be able to like turn that on sometimes too, like that arrogance to remind people of like why you're commanding something, which goes that level just above confidence, but not always negative, which puts us in that gray area. I know I just do like 1,000 things at y'all.
Hey, now I'm ready for it. I got it all, but I don't let, because B seemed like it's heavy on him, so I'm gonna let him like,
because, and here's why I'm gonna come off as like a butthole. I'm gonna try not to cuss as much this episode. I'm gonna come off as like a butthole in a way, because in my mind, I don't have to tell you that I'm better than you. You're just gonna know it, and because you know it, everything that I do at that point, from that point on, once you figure that out that I am, is gonna come off as me being arrogant. I feel like, but that's not me being arrogant. I'm just being me. And so, you know that old saying of birds of a feather flock together. That's why I feel like you can't have brokey friends if you're not a brokey, because a brokey friend is always going to take it as we might go to a bar. I might buy the first few rounds, and then at some point it might turn into, I don't need your charity, I could buy my own. And it's, nah, man, this is just what I do. You get what I'm saying?
yeah.
Or you go to a bar and you order an old fashioned with Angel's Envy, and it turns out to be like a $60 old fashioned with Angel's Envy in it. And you like, I give me the bullet old fashioned. That's not what I drink. You know what I mean? It's like I that's why it's heavy on me, because I think a lot of times my confidence has been mistaken as arrogance. I'm not being arrogant. I'm not changing who I am for anybody, but it might come off that way to you because there's a sense of you that feels like you don't meet my standard.
Those insecurities.
So that's the gray area for me. It's like, I am who I am. Either you could step up to my level if you can, or you could step out. That's the way I look at it. Don't get mad. Either step in or step out. I'll say that.
Yeah. Hey, sorry, before you say your part, he said old fashioned, but I don't want to cut him off. And I got mad love for the Midwest. I got a couple degrees out of there, and a lot of things we had a lot of fun out of the Midwest. But 2 weekends ago when I was there, I ordered old fashions from multiple places, and they put the full like orange in my drink. and granted, it wasn't places I really should be ordering an old fashioned from, but an old fashioned is a classic drink for a reason. Like, it's made a very specific way, unless you like kind of like doing it frou and they get in like creative. But putting a whole orange in a drink is never the scenario. So I just had a flashback.
My bro mad at the whole area, the whole region for like 5 people's mistakes.
If y'all make it out here to Indy, I got a spot for y'all that I just went to on Friday to celebrating the birthday festivities. You know what I mean? Them old fashions. I had 3 of them bad boys, and hey, they set the mood.
Bet I'll see you in 3 weeks.
Bet.
I want y'all to know that we are about 20 minutes into this show, maybe a little bit more, and nobody has given you a definition out of the dictionary yet. So I'm going to take this opportunity to give y'all a definition based off of Google, that says arrogant, having or revealing an exaggerated sense of one's own importance or abilities.
I don't agree with Google. Let's exaggerate.
So underline in this underline. You see that exaggerated is underlined.
So it's interesting because if you all rewind back like 5 minutes, that's what I said. Sometimes that confidence is like just the arrogance takes it a little bit above what's reality. Sometimes.
Okay.
Scenario.
Yep. I push back on that a little bit. I see where you're going, and I agree, but there's a tweak to it. Because the reason I say that is,
tell me about that pushback, blessed person.
All right, if you say right now, I can go, I'm gonna drop 50 on y'all tonight, and you go drop 50.
50 what?
50 points. The Heat play the Celtics, tonight. If Jason Tatum go off for 50 again, we seen him do it. So him going out being like, I'm going to do this, then it's not an exaggerated level of his abilities because he's done it before. Yeah. Or we know that he can do it. However, at the end of the day, if Patrick Beverly came out here talking about, I'm about to drop 50 on y'all,
I'm like, steroids you took before the game.
Yeah, dog, you a little arrogant in your abilities. I don't even think you ever dropped 50 in the game.
So that wouldn't even be realistic, though. And I think, using your original example, that would say we go on 7 games this series, and every single night I'm dropping 50. Ain't nobody stopping me. And that's where I kind of think that arrogance piece comes in.
Yeah, I will. Okay, yeah. That's what I'm saying. But to say that if he said in one game, he's shown that that's a level of confidence. This is what it needs. Right. That's why I say it's. But there's those people like that's why I use Patrick Beverly because it's like we ain't seen that in your abilities yet. And to speak to y'all point, which I agree, that's the part where I say like I agree with it. You can walk in and say, "Hey, I can do this. I know I can do that. I'm gonna do this," and it might be something. Or you operate. You say you walk into a meeting, and I agree with you from having that level of arrogance or just a little bit above. But like Kobe Bryant, I used to never like Kobe Bryant because I felt he was arrogant. But when you think about the way that he just operated, it was just like, I command that, as you stated, on the court. But his abilities also show that he could, he deserved that, respect. Yeah. So I even looked at it now, like towards the tail end of his career, I actually had more respect and looked at it as confidence more so than arrogance. Yeah. Very well, it could have been some arrogance up in there, but that's just how I look at it. I feel like if you cannot back it up, never have shown you can back it up, or as you say it be, if you just like, I don't need to tell you I'm better than you, just the way that I operate, how I apply my words or just apply my demeanor, that's not arrogance. But we know there's a lot of people who talk past that and be like, I ain't never seen you do this. You don't even believe you can do this.
So that's where I take it back to like question 1. So like where you brought it up, the capping piece. Because if it's outside of your abilities, even if you are flashy versus flexing, this is not your sustained ability. You 100% capping. So looking at that confidence versus arrogance, somebody saying they can do something because they just gonna be confident in themselves is like in that land of like arrogance, but it's also like the capping piece. And just to your Kobe point, real thing on that, what I said before is like the exaggerated piece of what my abilities are is because of like what state you are in that moment in time. So you have to kind of operate in that arrogance. If I walk into a meeting, I launch rockets for a living. I am not a rocket scientist. I'm a businessman. So when I go to that meeting and I'm the face of the organization at that point in time, I have to operate in a level of arrogance, not ignorance, just a level of arrogance, at some points in time. So you may not be 100% confident in it. So that's the only reason, just circling that back to that whole like exaggerated piece where Kobe, you the face of the franchise. You got to do it even if you're not always there. Like you may not be confident on that day, but you still got to operate in a certain way.
No, that's fair. Hey, let me ask y'all this question real quick. Just like a second part to this. Do y'all believe that the perception can be given off that if you have 2 confident people operating in the same, zone, that it can start to come off as arrogance in those people?
No. Because that's almost like saying you have 3. We've had this conversation before with alpha men, right? Like what we said, like 3, 4, 5 alpha men in one setting. Is there an alpha? Is that what you're kind of saying?
Essentially, that's a good thing. Let me just say this then. If me and Julius are talking and he makes a point and then I make a point, like, oh no, the pushback, I'll be like, let me tell you where you're wrong here. They totally like dismisses, but he's confident in his answer, but I'm confident in mine. We can go back and forth, and you get those people who kind of be like, dang, man, you can't never tell them nothing. They arrogant. They think they just know it all.
Not necessarily, because I want to say in our conversations, we all have different viewpoints of things, and we all might have a different opinion, but at the same time, we value each other. Like, it's just a way of looking at stuff. Yeah. I think both can be correct at the same time. And
I think one key word you said, Ship, was value. Yeah. I think some people, where you get into the arrogance of what you're saying, is because they are kind of, it's not really one-upping. It's just like, but did you think about this? Did you think about that? It's like, man, you really don't know everything in the world. You're not saying it from like, think about it. You saying it as if like, you know it. Like, how you talking to me about something you don't specialize in? You're confident in it, and it makes sense. Like, to your point, like, it makes sense. We both can be right, but it's like you got something for like every situation, and it's more than mine. Like, just take mine at like face value. And I could answer what we value. Like, you could say something, like you could talk about like, hey, this, podcasting piece, and even though I've been doing it, this is not like my, like, I'm not a SME in this, subject matter expert for people, that don't know that terminology. But it's just like one of those things. So
what you just did right there.
You said what? Hey, I'm just making sure, like, people use acronyms, but you might be talking to me about something. I'll go, okay, I can see your point, but then something, but did you think about this? Did you do that? Did you do that? But like, man, from what I've seen, I did this. I'm like, hold on, man, this ain't something I like live and breathe, but I got a response. And I think that can be a level of arrogance, exaggerating my abilities on life and putting it into like every single situation.
And before we move on, I did want to ask this question. Where do we get to a point where, and I don't want to exclude the ladies, but even as men, how it's almost, we got like a point to prove. Does that come off as arrogance or confidence? When you feel like,
sorry, I wanted just because I was right there, George. You said something about Lizzo earlier. When I asked the question, you was talking. Lizzo was the first person who popped into my mind. Like, there are parts that I'm not the biggest fan of Lizzo. She kills it. You know what I'm saying? No hate, no shade. She kills it. But then at the standpoint of, and she has a lot of confidence, but there are certain statements and certain things that she does that is like, you need to accept, this as the new rule. Hey, cool, you confident in your full figure, woman body, but I might like a little bit more small and petite. You shouldn't tell me that this is the new standard and you need to accept it. And if I don't, then, like I'm hating or, full figure shaming. No, I'm not. That's an arrogant mindset, and you've crossed over from that comment. I appreciate Lizzo's confidence. You know what I'm saying? Don't always agree with it, but I appreciate it.
You just made my point. You said what? Made my point from the last episode of when I was talking about the media beating us over the head about LeBron.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, Lizzo, if you want to walk into a Lakers game with your cheeks out, you have every right to do so because you're confident in who you are. But my baby don't need to see that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's a difference.
Yeah.
So that's where I leave it. I feel like she's trying to prove a point. Like, I'm big and I love it. Okay, there's some people out there that do. But 10-year-old kids don't need to see your cheeks out at the Lakers game.
And that's why you say that comment goes in the area.
She was trying to flex on something that didn't need to be flexed.
That didn't even need. Like, everybody already appreciate for where you at and what you doing something extra on, But hey, with that being said, hey, y'all know there's many different. Before we get to our next question, I'm going to drop a little segment. We ain't gonna do it all the time, but y'all know there's different levels to B-Bond. You have the intelligent, the psychiatrist. You have the financial guru, whatever it is that B-Bond wears many different hats. However, one of the favorite people that we like on here is Spicy D. And Spicy D can't always come out because the fellas, that's just, that's not our platform. Our platform is a little bit more intelligent. So we want to give Spicy D some time for him to be able to speak his mind. And this is our new segment that y'all get every now and then called Stop Playing With Me. This is our segment set up for B-Bond to be Spicy B, to speak about whatever is on his mind for him to tell y'all to stop playing with him. Go ahead, B.
I appreciate this, brother, because there's something. Look, when my brother called me, the producer said, "Hey, man, I got something for you." He pitched the idea. I said, "Thank God." Look at God, because there's something that's been on my mind heavy. Let me read something for y'all. Wife kills husband because he stopped eating her vagina every night. So the story goes, Maryland-based woman stabbed her husband to death because when at the beginning of the relationship, he was providing fellatio for her every night. All of a sudden, he just stopped, and she felt some kind of way about it. Spicy B Bond. Here we go. Why in the world? See, I told you I'm gonna stop trying to cuss this episode. I wanted to drop some explicit. Why in the world? Can we talk about double standards just a little bit? As men, we are expected to eat the box. Are we not? It's almost like a prereq to sex. You gotta eat the box. Or even if you're not gonna have sex, she talking about let me get some head though. You know what I'm saying? And you do it, whatever. But then when we need that situation flipped on his head, we don't get the same respect. Women talking about, I can't be on my knees looking up at a man. It's just something about that. Or I'm not putting that in my mouth. You eat too much meat. I don't know what you like. All I'm saying is, to give head, you got to get head. To give head, you got to get head. It's wrong. She shouldn't have stabbed her husband. That's messed up. Now this man is in heaven talking about, now he eating all the box in heaven. And your box still ain't getting ate. He got Aaliyah up there. Aaliyah talking about rock the boat. And he right in the middle. Work the middle. He right there with Aaliyah. I'm just saying, stop playing with me, man. Stop playing with this double standard of y'all get head, but we don't get head. We like head too. Stop playing with it. That's all I got. Don't play with me. Don't play with me.
Hey, the money does not support all the of Ebon, although I very much agree with 90% of what he said.
Did I lose you about him being in heaven? Hey, I'm just saying, heaven is where all your dreams come true, right?
Hey,
streets paved with gold.
Hey man,
and box.
Hey, look, see, now y'all really see how much Spicy B been holding back. That's what we need y'all to know. Spicy B be holding back.
I've been educational.
That's your area, Spicy B.
Hey, I've been educational B for the last 4 shows. Ain't no spicy came out my lips. I'm just saying.
Hey man, y'all stop playing with B Bond. Hey, so moving forward, and what you just said, there was a lot of it that was true. Leads us into our next scenario. What's the difference between when truth becomes gossip or truth versus gossip?
See, this is tough, man. Truth and gossip is tough. I feel like we tackled it on previous shows. When you're speaking on something that you are not a part of or didn't witness for yourself, I believe it teeters on that gossip. And you're talking about it, right? Truth, for as an absolute, 100%. You were a part of it. You were there. You witnessed it. You might have took some notes, whatever the case may be. I think the gray area in truth versus gossip is when you start to exaggerate. Truth could become gossip when you start to exaggerate what actually happened. So, like if you embellish, you add on to the story. You know what I mean? And that's the big gray area for me, I would say, is that when individuals can't just say, let's go back to that capping piece. You can't just say, man, I was in Vegas, me and the fellas, we popped 3 bottles, you know what I mean, in the DJ booth next to, in the booth next to the DJ, we kicked it. Nah, man, we was in Vegas next to the DJ, we popped 10 bottles. $2,000 a piece. You know what I'm saying? Like just tell the original story. You know what I mean? And I think that's the gray area for me. So
I'm joking. So for me, the reason I say truth versus gossip, I think is your intent in communicating the truth. You know, I can tell you all day that somebody ain't handling their business, but if I call you up every day and I be like, you're not handling your business, and then I start calling other people and telling them about how you're not handling your business, and I just go down that line there, you know, for the next 6 months, I'm talking about somebody not handling their business, it could be very true. But the fact that I continue to repeatedly talk about it once the message has already been communicated, once there's something that there's an understanding, because that's what communication, and you know, my definition is an understanding of minds through verbal and nonverbal, you know, actions. Once you have that understanding, if you keep going, you gossiping.
Yeah.
That you still telling the truth, but now you gossiping because it's starting to create a negative. There can be negativity in the truth, but when you create a negative environment by consistently pushing the truth to different areas, I think you get into that.
Yeah,
That's where that gray area starts to come black and white. It's like, nah, you truth gossiping.
it can go into that second level of being judgmental.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't have too much to add on it because y'all both hit on it pretty well. And like your level of understanding piece, you know, was like spot on, because that's legitimately. And some people are like, well, I just had to get it off my chest, but you got to go tell multiple people. You got it off your chest once. And then the fact is, like, someone said, like, nah, I feel you. I agree. They need to do better in life. He's like, but yeah, I just feel like they don't care about life. Like, hold on. I was like, now you get into that point of like exaggerating, you being judgmental. Like the point's been heard, understood. Like you said, like the story is over.
Yeah. That's it. Go ahead, B.
Let's use the y'all go. Let's use the Vibe Queens who ain't recorded an episode in months, right? But then, you know, am I telling the truth when I say y'all ain't recorded in months and then I put it on the show, or am I gossiping?
It could get in that gray area if you mention it on multiple shows.
Let me tell y'all what happened in the group chat. My two compadres here, my brothers here, they got real quiet and let P Bond stand on that molehill all by himself. But y'all know the Five Queens ain't recording no show.
Hey, I gotta mention mine in the show. So my truth was out there.
Yeah.
Hey, Nay, that shot was for you. Let's see if she made it this far this episode. If she made it to this episode, I'll hear about it.
Yeah, you know she's probably our most loyal viewer.
Yeah. So now, you know, that's 2 episodes now. We go to the 3rd episode. It's
gossip.
It's gossip.
Or maybe two is a little gossip and then 3 is judgmental.
Hey,
I'm just trying to motivate, hustle and motivate.
Hey man, but I just, with that being said, because y'all both, we already seem like we have an understanding of mind. One thing I just want to, you know, point out that I believe has been brought through every single one is like a thing, is that when things start to become exaggerated or there's a capping aspect to it, that's where it changes from the acceptable to like the not acceptable.
So it's unacceptable behavior.
Unacceptable behavior. Thank you. I'm glad you caught it. So
double entendre. We had a few of them in the show today. Double entendre.
So with that said,
over here,
when you flashy and you know exaggerate, then you going into flexing. You know, when you confident and you know exaggerate, then you're going into arrogance. When you're truth and then you start exaggerating the truth, going beyond what the actual is, you start going up into a gossipy area. As we know, as we've seen in many shows and many different things, when you get gossipy, you know, sometimes or people start talking about stuff, you get into your feelings. And it's okay. It is 100% okay to be in your feelings, but there's some people who use their feelings to feel pity and want everybody to feel pity for them. So now that leads us to our last design question for today, which is the difference between feelings becoming pity or feelings versus pity.
Yeah, man. So That's one of those things that I would, kind of taking it back to what you just said before, getting into feelings. There's nothing wrong with being in your feelings. We are designed to be emotional, to feel emotions. It is not a bad thing. And when it stays, keeping it black and white, when it stays legitimately, something that God gave you to feel in that particular situation, whether it's anger, hurt, pain. Well, pain is not really a feeling. That's just more like a subset of hurt. but it's or just disgust or anything.
But it is weakness that needs to lead the body.
It is 100% weakness that needs to lead the body. But it's like sometimes you can have disgust, which is where gossiping may come from, because someone's gossiping about a situation, depending on what it is, because they're disgusted in how someone's acting in the area. But that kind of gets into that area of being like pity. Like there's a reason that you're continuing to gossip about that situation. You want someone to like really hear you. You're probably not feeling heard in other scenarios. So now you want to be, one thing I like in like pity too is victimization. Everyone always says it's a negative thing. Like it is a negative thing to be pitied or to be pitiful. And most people want to sit in that realm because
say that again.
to be pitied or to be pitiful. Like it is all in the same family as the same thing as being a victim in a situation. There are real situations and people are real victims, but that is a definition. It is not a state of mind. And some people stay in the state of mind of being a victim, which is when it becomes negative. Yeah. So when you say feelings versus pity, that gray area is like, you kind of really got to watch it. I can't really, and maybe one of y'all are going to comment to put like what the gray area is in there. And there's a moment where I think when you're in that gray area, you need like some people to pull you out because something happened to you. You are feeling pain from that hurt. And you're going down that, like, you continue to talk about it. You're talking to multiple people. You're not gossiping about your own situation because there's truth to it. But you're in that, like, that victimization mindset and somebody needs to pull you out of it. So there's probably like the gray area because of the fact that it was something that may be justified. I'm not going to be the one that sits here and says like you shouldn't be justified for like how you're feeling in a certain situation. But, I would say that's the gray area. But there is like a very thin line, between love and hate. No, I'm saying there's a very thin line between feelings and pity.
The only thing I'll say about it is, to me, the gray area lies with how long someone stays in that area, that feeling.
Yeah.
Whether it be good or bad. We'll concentrate on the negative because that's typically, if somebody's feeling good, we don't have a problem with that. You know what I mean? But when somebody's in that down and sunken place for a long period of time, that gray area of when do I, as a friend, go in there and pull them out? I can't tell somebody how to grieve. I can't tell somebody how to take on that role or that baggage. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So when do you go in and say, hey, let me help you out of this real quick? Because sometimes it's not our place to do that. And if you don't allow enough time for that person to go through that process, that's actually setting them back further than you going to get them and bring them out now.
Right.
So
y'all both made very good points. Pity the feeling of sorrow and compassion caused by the suffering and misfortunes of others. The key word for me is misfortunes. Is like when people become that. And that's what you said, B. That's why I like that. I agree with you. Is how long you stay there, because I've seen people who, and you said like a negative, aspect to it, but I've seen people be the hero in their story, but they still in an unfortunate or misfortunate situation. Mm-hmm. But they're the hero in their story because they want people to feel pity for their story. There's like, everybody came over here and they did this to me and did this, but I'm still standing strong in the Lord. It's like, no, you want me to feel sorry that everybody came over and did that to you, but you trying to have an upbeat, positive thing, and then the next day they might be right back into that. Everybody, don't like me, they hate me. Then it's like I'm rising above my haters and putting that back out there. After a while, you got to keep commenting. It's good to have haters because that means you're doing something. Mm-hmm. But if you always commenting about your haters, then I feel, because having haters can also be unfortunate, There's some misfortune based on what they do or what they say. And there's just some people, man, it's a victim mindset. Mm-hmm. You can elevate yourself, exaggerate yourself, But yet then again, still be pitiful, empathetic in the way that you conduct and go about things because you never move forward. I believe feelings can drive you, and I agree with you. If we start talking about grief, if we start talking about this happened, but if something happened to you, I was thinking about this the other day. I'm gonna say bare minimum 1 year. Bare minimum 1 year. 5 years is too long. There is nothing in your life that after 1 year of you experiencing it, not saying that you won't have effects, there won't be some things, and that you shouldn't have a level of decision within yourself to make the choice to come out of it. Not saying that you won't, because there's some very unfortunate things that's happened to people that I would never want to happen or never wish up on people. You think of those things like domestic violence, sexual abuse and stuff like that. But if you still stand in a certain spot after you've been out of it, not if you're still in it, but after you got out of it, that you just like, this is no me, you don't understand this. And you hear where people be talking about something that happened 15, 20, 30 years ago. Like, nah, man.
And just so, the viewers don't get that misconstrued or what you're saying, going back to the point where you said the decision to stay in it mentally. And then moving forward is really just sometimes the act of moving forward. Some people want to stay in the exact same state of mind that they were when the situation happened. And it doesn't mean you might not go back to it, but when you stay there, that was a decision. And you have to try to get your right community, get your people to help you move forward. And that could be all in the gray area because there are those, big T trauma things that happen, not like a little T trauma, because sometimes feelings versus pity, sometimes people really don't, and I'm not going to really define it right now because that could be a whole show on like what's big trauma versus like little trauma, because there's normal stressors in life can be something that can really get us in our emotions, and you can kind of get in that gray area of pity, and you deciding to stay there, you get into that exaggeration piece. And then that's one thing is when you're like a friend, like looking at someone, that's where you really get into that like sympathy and that empathetic piece. You should always be empathetic to people in that feelings in. You should be mindful of it, to express sympathy when they're on like the pity part. There's like something a little bit more that's been there, but being a good friend too, because you can't really go to where they're at. That's not helping someone in that moment, depending on how long they stay there, to your point. So it's just, I know there's a lot of different elements to that. Y'all heard me say that on pieces, but we went through like 4 topics. So we could spend a whole show on like any of them. But
that's what one thing. Last thing I'll say, and then BC, if you have anything, is there's a lot of times that when we say stay there, some people think just because they move laterally that they move forward. That's not the case. Like just because you say something different, but your actions are, as you stated, your mindset hasn't stepped forward. Now you just moving laterally, and you still stand technically in the same place, but some people think just because I sidestep that I'm not in the same place. Now it's about moving forward. It's moving forward, not a sidestep. It's moving forward.
I'm gonna leave it there.
Yeah, I was thinking about "Unpretty." Like, was that TLC song?
Hey, one last little nugget, because the whole intent when we came up with this show, is for there to be 2 parts. So I'm letting y'all know there is going to be a part 2. These ones they fillers. We started off
appetizers.
Yeah, but we're gonna get into some ones that go a little bit deeper. That's a little bit more, I guess, not really controversial. Just a little, might boil your blood a little bit. Hopefully, just to get you thinking. Not boil your blood, make you mad, but just to get you thinking. One of them, I'm gonna drop it out there. It's gonna be when attitude versus conflict. Leave it out there. We'll, let y'all see what happens. And we'll probably have some guests on the next show. Hopefully, we'll see. Maybe not.
And so, sorry, just like so attitude as in like.
They gotta come for it. They gotta come for it.
Don't do it, Jew.
Yeah. Hey, but now that y'all know, if you have a certain way, I already know how we're gonna approach it. But if there's a certain way you guys want us to talk on something with that one, hey, hit them on the inbox. Let us know what it is. Man, y'all got anything else?
Yeah. Only thing I would say, we're recording this on Memorial Day. So, shout out to all my comrades in arms that have fallen, paid the ultimate sacrifice for their life. And, you know, later on today, I'll go down to Arlington Cemetery and pay my respects. But, you know, I thank God, you know, we always say we bless and highly favored, but I thank God for being here today because, you know, 40 plus rockets in Afghanistan, you know, he's the only reason that I'm here able to record this podcast. So appreciate y'all, you know, tuning in. Salute to everybody out there and stuff like that. And, you know, stay excellent.
All right. With that being said, I'm your boy B Bond.
Be money.
Gang, gang.
We are the fellas, and we out. Appreciate y'all.
Let's go. There ain't nothing you can tell